Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kaylee Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur Podcast. And I'm joined today by the fabulous Nikki Pope, who is a business coach and mentor and a launch strategist. And we're going to be diving into a very exciting topic today: why every female founder needs a sisterhood to succeed. Nikki, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Let's dive in. Let's talk about this incredible topic that I think every single female entrepreneur out there needs to listen to. But I think it would be really good, before we dive into the actual topic itself, to share with our listeners a little bit more about you, your story, and your journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, okay. So certainly not linear. But I actually started in the performance industry, right? And so singer, actress, all my life had followed that. And then COVID hit, and very much everything closed up overnight. And so it was like a nice welcomed, I'd done this for my whole life. So it was a nice welcomed break to find also what does light me up as well, what am I good at? Like, and motivating people and getting people, and I have such a drive to see other people succeed as well. And I just kind of fell into the online space. And it's really funny because I believe what's made me successful in this space is actually this background in performance and all of the things like presence and storytelling and confidence and captivating an audience are the things that help you sell online as well. And so it's kind of just, yeah, it's been this like beautiful whirlwind that's kind of brought me here into the online space. And now we're sort of starting to marry up the entertainment industry with entrepreneurship and empowerment. And so that's sort of the underlying current of my business, the Modern Launch Club, and now in turn the Solopreneur Awards. So yeah, it's good. It's great. It's led us here.
Oh, absolutely. And it sounds so exciting. And so many things that I know you've got planned as well for the Solopreneur Wars as well, which is just super, super exciting. And I think this leads into the topic and why we chose this as the topic to talk about for today's episode, which is all about, really needing a sisterhood and a support network around you, specifically as an entrepreneur, because it can be lonely. So let's dive into this. When you first entered the online world, and I know you've given us a little bit of a background there, but when you first entered the online space, how did you discover or create this sense of sisterhood that supported you in your growth?
Do you know what? Initially, yeah, it's super isolating. I felt like I was, especially where I'm based in Wales. And when
Mm.
I first came into the online space, I couldn't find anybody doing what I was doing locally. Obviously I'd found this world online, and my goodness. And we were just talking about it before we came onto this recording, but how amazing it is to like meet people online that we've never met in the flesh in person, yet become best friends with them, and they scream so loud for you, and it's such a beautiful beautiful industry that we're creating over here, especially as women, and we're really driving the way. And because we know the things that sell online is that sort of nurturing space, right? This community building aspect and this sisterhood and this tribe. And I, yeah, initially was so isolated just trying to figure it out all on my own. And so then I found support through programs and memberships and mentorship. And then you really start to dial in on why it's so important, why this sisterhood, this tribe is so important to find. And I just think, yeah, when you show up online and you are super vulnerable and you're showing up, right? Those real connections get formed. And so, yeah, I think that's sort of how I sort of discovered and created that sense of sisterhood in building business, I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. It is though, isn't it? I think it can be a very lonely, isolated space. And like you said, from your own experience when you first started out, and at the end of the day, I think when you start in the online space, you don't really know anyone. Or if you do, you might know the odd one or two people that have a business. They might not necessarily be leaning into the online space. It's very, very different. So it can be really isolating. And I think it's just it's so important, isn't it, to have that support and to either build your own community or to be a part of a community. I mean, what's your kind of take on that? Why would you say it's essential to have or be a part of a supportive community as a female founder?
Do you know what? Like entrepreneurship in general is it can feel so lonely.
Mm.
And like you've said, and I just think that like without that community, so many things like self-doubt. We start dealing with all the mindset stuff, right? Self-doubt, comparison spiraling, and all of these things. And I just think that it is essential. It's essential to your success. You are the standard of the room that you're in, right? It's that saying. I don't know if I've just butchered that, but like community equals accountability,
Yeah.
right? And like when we are in spaces that push us to our extreme, like that push us to be the best version and to really fight for the goals that we're setting for ourselves, when we're around people that also are going for these big things as well, it gives us permission to dream bigger and push our boundaries in a good way and like get outside the comfort zone. And I just think it is essential to have that community for like sustained success, right? As it because all the things that we deal with, we call it riding the entrepreneurial dragon over at the Modern Launch Club because it really is that. And I don't know about you, I'm sure this is true for you too. A lot of like working with my clients is you're a therapist turned strategist turned, I just think yeah, we go through so much, so we need that community aspect to really sort of spotlight each other, right?
Absolutely. I think
Mm,
that ongoing support, spotlighting, absolutely. I think that's so important as well, isn't it? And being able to support one another in different ways. I love the fact that as well that you mentioned there, we kind of take on lots of different roles at once. So absolutely, I think everyone joins the space, don't they? That they want to become a coach or a brand designer, a web designer, or in different industries, it could look like different things. You're starting a business to support people or to offer provide a service, but then you do end up becoming a social media manager. You do end up becoming an admin person because you have to do the admin unless you employ a VA. You do become all kinds of different roles to the extent where you're juggling lots of different things. So again, I think that can actually create overwhelm for some people. So again, having that support around you and actually connecting with people that might be able to help you as well. And I think that's really good, isn't it? If there's someone that you know who can support with your social media, then see if there's a kind of collaborative swap or something that you can do. If you know someone that can edit podcasts, maybe they could do that for you and you could do something for them. So actually, you're building this entire community, not only for support, as in moral support and all the things, but also for kind of collaboration, right?
absolutely. Yeah, because like you said, we're wearing all the hats, right? At the beginning, when there's no budget to bring in, oh my goodness, like to bring in that support. And I don't know about you, but like the first team member I hired was like, oh, but then you have to learn how to manage that team member as well. So it's like swings and roundabouts. And so, yeah, when we can use that community to really just dial in on where are our weak points and what can we learn and improve on, and how can I support someone else in the process. And it is that piece of, yeah, when we're coming from service and support, and that's at the core, you can only win from there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think with communities, if we're talking about being part of a community where you have this support all around you, are there any qualities that you would say make a really solid, unshakable, incredible online community? What are there any qualities that you would say, do you know what? Yes, that is what you need in order to create this amazing, incredible community around you?
Yeah. So do you know what? The first thing that came to my mind, like immediately, safety.
Oh, yes.
Right? Like, how important is that in a community? Is that safety piece? Especially like, when you go into your first cohort and you're then surrounded by other people doing the same things, striving for the same goals, that safety to be like, oh, I'm not perfect and I am going through this struggle. I feel like we get to share the highs and the lows in that community space. I think that then also pairs with honesty, right? Because then we get to really show up authentically, both in that space and online, because then that gets to translate over. Um, so for sure, like having those real conversations rather than just the highlight reels of everything, which I think is so easy to fall into. And then celebration, right? Like celebration. So we've got safety, we've got honesty, and just being able to celebrate. Like I am sure you can relate here, but like when we are the type of people that we are, we're always striving for the next best thing, the next big thing, right? And I
Mm,
don't think that's necessarily, I think that's had a bit of a bad rap lately, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to constantly want to push yourself to get bigger and better. But like, also taking a step back to be like, let's celebrate the small. That's one of the things I'm excited about with the Solopreneur Awards as well, is we're really going to highlight celebrating the small and the big wins that we just so quickly scoot over, and we do everything at our kitchen tables, and we go through failures and then we have to pick ourselves back up. But when we're together and we're doing it together, there is something really quite powerful and poignant about being able to celebrate even the smallest of wins. Got out of bed this morning when I've just had 10 people say no to me on discovery calls.
yeah.
Great, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I just think that sort of celebration then sort of creates this resilience. So there's so many things that we can kind of pull from communities. There's really not anything bad that I can think of.
No.
You're building and scaling that community out. So yeah, that's what I would say were sort of unshakable qualities to having a community.
Amazing. And I think do you know what? I love the point that you said at the beginning of that, which is all about the safety, because absolutely celebrations are great, having that ongoing support, but safety is huge and feeling safe. And that's one of the things that I personally have definitely benefited from is knowing that I'm part of a number of different communities. And when we say communities, I've got a couple of really small groups of communities of people who I've known for years since the beginning of the journey, and then a couple who I've kind of gradually met along the way. And I feel safe. I feel safe to voice my worries. I feel safe to voice, some of the challenges that I faced, previously over the last coming year, of the last previous years. And I think it's so nice to be able to have that go-to community, whether it's 3 people or whether it's 100, but having a space that feels safe, that allows you to ask the question or to just say, do you know what? I just need to rant. I just need to get this off my chest. And I would love anyone else's opinion. And I think
Mhm.
that's really important, isn't it?
So important. Absolutely, it is. It's like, yeah, and I think that's why, like, when you ask that question, that's the first thing that came to mind because we need that safety. We need safety in everything, right? We need safety in our nervous system. We need safety in our relationships, in our partnerships. Safety is key because that's where we thrive,
Yeah.
you know? yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things I like about community. Because we can celebrate ourselves, well, when we get to that point. But I think safety and honesty is when you know you've hit the right space for you.
Yeah, 100%. What about people who potentially might be at their earlier stage of business? So maybe they're starting a new business, they're pretty new, feeling maybe a little bit lonely as well, or just don't really know where to go. What
Mm.
advice could you give a female entrepreneur or female founder who is looking to find genuine communities or connections with peers?
Yeah, I think start small
Mm,
is sort of my thing. I think I've always operated that way as well, like as a founder, because as well we want to, again, kind of comes back to that safety piece, be safe to be able to share our big dreams and our big goals with the right people that can hold that for you. Because as we know, that's a thing. So starting small, sort of 1 to 2 real connections over sort of 100 surface level connections.
mm,
And that's just going to come from talking in the DMs and creating, whenever I have my clients sort of, okay, we're going into nurturing. Who's in our audience? How are we connecting with them? You're most likely either going to come out with a new client or a new bestie, when you're and both are so valuable. And I just think yeah, so 1 to 2 sort of really solid real connections
mm.
over 100 surface level ones, joining spaces where community is baked into it, I think is really really important, like cohorts, like memberships, right? They are the kind of, that's it. And it's showing up, it's engaging in the DMs, it's commenting, it's building step by step. Have you heard of the 1000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly?
No, I haven't. No.
Fabulous. It's a concept that was created, and I don't want to speak too much about it because I might butcher it. But ultimately, it's about you should always aim to create 1000 true fans within your community. And these are with 1000, we don't even need 1000 true fans to make a very, very fruitful income. But what it speaks about is that these 1000 true fans are accumulated one by one. And it's just like building friendships in school. They're accumulated one by one because these are people that will absolutely scream at the top of their lungs whenever you release something or announce something, and they buy everything that you put out. And what they say is if we can have 1000 true fans spend £100 a month, or I think it's £100 a year even. I can't remember. There's where I butcher it. That is so my goodness, that's a crazy income to be making.
Mm,
But yeah, I feel like also if you're a new founder, yeah, find those communities that you're baked into, show up, engage authentically, DMs. And I feel like that's another purpose of this awards night,
mm.
because it's getting in the room with the right people, with the movers and the shakers. It's getting in the room with the big dreamers, the people that everyone else would be scared of because of those big dreams. And when you're in the right rooms, that is when you are destined for greatness. And that's one of the core things I really wanted to drive home with this awards ceremony, with this awards night. It's not just the ceremony. The ceremony is the cherry on top. It's
Yeah.
getting in the room. It's being on tables with, it's showing up. There are so many people that are going to show up knowing nobody.
Mm.
They're going to leave with this new tribe of people. And that, when I hear that, and I get so many messages and they're saying, I am really out of my comfort zone, but I've bought a ticket and I'm coming. And do you know what that is? Oh, every time I've had a message like that, it makes me sit back because I'm just like, wow, look at what we're doing here.
Yeah.
This is the core of it. Getting in the room. You don't even need to submit yourself for that entry, for that award. get in the room, and that's where magic starts to happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Really does. It really does that way. I think getting in the room with the right people and when we say that, for all of our listeners, do not be afraid to message people, to join rooms, even if you feel that you don't belong there. Believe me, you do.
Mhm.
Because I do think that a lot of people hold back that, if they see something, they think, oh gosh, they're all multiple six or seven figure business owners. I don't belong there. You do. And do you know what? I always think it's so expansive when you're in a room with people who are doing very well. You can learn so much from them. You can learn a lot of information or learn a lot of things, can't you, from anyone. With regardless of their backgrounds, their expertise, all of the things, I think it's so powerful to get yourself in that room and to never be afraid of putting yourself forwards or putting that name forwards. And, I really want to talk about the ceremony and the awards as well, because I think this is a great example that I'm sure if people haven't got their tickets, by the way, make sure you do. But this is a great example, and there will be other events and other opportunities for people throughout the year, every single year, depending on when you're listening to this podcast episode. And I think it's so important, so important. Tell us a little bit more. Tell us more about the awards and ceremony. Obviously, I know about it, but I would love for you to share with everyone because I think this is an opportunity. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, thinking, okay, I'm ready to be a part of a sisterhood. I'm ready to put myself out there. I want to get involved, whether it's this year or next year or whatever it is. Nikki, give us a little bit of an insight as to exactly what you've created and again, I suppose the benefits of it really for female founders and listeners.
I love that. Yeah, okay. So basically, the Solopreneur Awards, it is marrying the entertainment industry with entrepreneurship because I was just, do you know what? Like, I've always had this idea. I always knew that I wanted to merge, and I just didn't quite, for a very long time, I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was and how I wanted it to operate. But this was the first step because I was like, right. I speak to women and men, right? All the time. I have male clients as well. I just feel like we're in this movement of women in business right now, especially in the online space. And I just feel like I have benefited so much from being a part of this online world that
Mm.
has saved me in so many aspects of my life. And I just, it, I wanted to marry the two together because I just think these are the people that need the spotlight, that need the recognition, is the mums that are on the side of a football pitch and they're learning strategy whilst their kid is like winning and stirring pasta whilst learning going live, right? Or up till late at night. In fact, I actually had, so when you submit for an award, um, which by this point will have closed our submissions,
Yeah.
but still come along because it's gonna be wild. But we were getting videos coming through. And one of the girls actually sent a video of her. It was gone midnight, dark. She's in her pajamas, learning Canva. And she was like, the kids are in bed. This is my life. And this is why I feel like I should be put up for this award because it's the truth, right? It's the truth of the matter. We are learning from scratch. Everyone learns from zero. And so
Mm.
I wanted to create a space because, as well, like when we're self-employed, we don't have the Christmas parties. We don't have and Christmas is my favorite time of year. We can marry it up with this trip to London. Let's get in the room with the right people that are going to set us up for success going into the new year, going into 2026, with all the gumption coming out the door swinging, with this whole new tribe of people. Like, you imagine 10 people that have never met and they're going to sit on a table and they're going to talk and they're going to have this beautiful three-course meal with this wine and drinks. And then we're going to have this wonderful ceremony. We've got the incredible Hannah Rose Cluley, who's our celebrity speaker on the night. We're going to award for those moments where we want to burn the business down and then we build up again and then we're gonna get in the room, we're gonna dance, and it's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be the most electric night for solopreneurs everywhere. And so yeah, I'm just super excited. I have this really clear vision of how this is going to go. And it might not go that way at all. It will be better. And so that is the Solopreneur Awards. And yeah, December 6th at the Waldorf Hotel.
Gorgeous. What a beautiful hotel and space as well. And this is just, such a fantastic opportunity and also an example of what is possible. Nikki, you've created something that is allowing female founders to be a part of what we're talking about today, a sisterhood, a community to celebrate their successes. I love the fact it's around Christmas as well, just FYI, but it's amazing. Honestly, it really, really is. So for any listeners that are listening, yes, unfortunately the doors have closed, haven't they, for entries, but you can 100% still come along on the night and absolutely reach out to Nikki. Everything is in the show notes where you can contact her and connect with her. But I honestly, I just think it's so important. And this is such a great opportunity. And there will be times for everyone who's listening to this podcast episode in your business where you will feel a little bit lonely and you will feel a little bit anxious about applying for awards or putting yourself forwards to speak on a podcast or going to events, etc. But go for it. Do not hold back, as I say. Go for it. Take action. Do the things that are going to potentially scare you, but actually benefit you all the way round. Nikki, what would you say then in terms of being in the right room, being part of a supportive, safe, celebratory community, which we've talked about lots today already? What would you say the mental well-being benefits are, or the mental health well-being benefits are? Because I think this is a thing that we have to factor in. Our mindset, our mental health, our well-being overall is so important. Are there any particular benefits that you think, yes, this is what it's all about, and this can really support you and help you as well?
Have you experienced burnout?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's the most insane experience, especially when you are or class yourself as a very strong, capable, but it is very real. I had one of my biggest burnouts end of November 2023, and I was in bed for 11 days and I couldn't get out. And it was a real crossroads. And it was the thing that actually helped me launch the Modern Launch Club. It was that crossroad moment where I had to make a decision to burn the old business down because it had taken me as far as it could have and relaunch the thing that was really, really on my heart. And I just think the long-term mental health benefits of being a part of a community prevents burnout. It gives us that creativity. It gives us that spark. It allows collaborations. It eliminates the loneliness. It's financially, you're gonna grow. Like we say, like I always say, whenever I'm a part of a cohort, I always make money. I always make money. I know when I sign up to a cohort that I have been eyeing up for a while. I know when I join that cohort, I'm going to make money
Mm.
because there is something to be said about being a part for a condensed amount of time with a community of people that are all striving towards the same goals because you're leveling each other up. So then obviously the mental well-being of that is we're eliminating those financial insecurities, those setbacks, that lack mentality, that lack of abundance. Like there's so many benefits to sisterhood community on our mental health. And I just think it's that safety net. It's that launch pad and that safety net at the same time. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And again, for anyone listening who has experienced burnout or, it's interesting that you say that as well, because I think we want to prevent anyone from hitting burnout. It's an awful thing to experience. And actually, anything you can do to prevent that and to look after your own mental health and well-being is so, so important. And this is such a big thing that can support and help you. And I also think as well, for anyone listening, if you're struggling, if you're in a position where you think, oh gosh, I just can't do this, maybe there's a little bit of limiting beliefs going on in there. First of all, that's completely normal. That's completely okay. It is normal and okay to experience fear, worry, anxiety, etc. But find your people, find the community, reach out to the people, maybe just one person that you feel you can trust, that you can connect to or talk to, that's not necessarily your partner, your spouse or husband or whoever, but someone that you can just open up to and have a chat with, because it is sometimes the most therapeutic thing is just to have a chat, just to talk to someone you trust. Again, it goes back to the safety concept as well, doesn't it?
With someone that knows what you're going through as well, you know? Because that's the other thing as well. It's like, what did Brené Brown say? If you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked daily, I don't want to hear I don't want to hear your advice. I don't want to hear your opinions. And I think, yeah, again, that kind of comes back to this whole thing as well, isn't it? It's like, yeah, when we're in that space with these people that get it,
Mm.
that have been there when things are low and you're not making any money and you are bouncing between your overdraft and your paychecks and you're desperate to get that client in. Like, gosh, you know what, I want to so go back to Nikki, that time, when I was going through that period, and just give her a big hug, because it's like that's the point where people crumble and leave. Whereas when you've got people around you that know that this is part and parcel, that is, oh, it's so powerful. It keeps you going, you
Yeah,
know,
it really does.
reap the rewards.
Nikki, honestly, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. And I just think this topic, I know we could talk about this for hours, but it really is important. And there's so much opportunity out there for people to be part of communities, to grow their own communities, to come to fabulous events such as your own, which you've put together to specifically support female founders. What's the one final piece of advice that you can share with our listeners today?
Mm. Messy and perfect action always.
Nice.
That is like, I tell my clients that daily when we're coming up against mindset stuff, messy and perfect action always. Do the thing, book the ticket, whether it's Solopreneur Awards or not, although it should be, get yourself in the rooms. I was speaking to a new client yesterday, and she's positioning herself to luxury brands and premium coaches. And she's like, how are we like, I can go to the seminars and watch the person, but the people I'm supposed to be networking with are not there. Like, how do we get in the rooms, right? So then it's strategic. And I just think, do the things, take the leap with the coach that you want to work with. Get in the room. That's the biggest and the best piece of advice that I can give anyone in this industry. If your goals aren't big enough that your palms aren't sweating, they're not big. They need to sweat. It needs to be just out of reach, because otherwise, what are we working towards? What are we fighting for?
I love it. I love it. Nikki, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure having you here on the podcast. Where can our fabulous listeners connect with you and find you?
So there's a few places. So the Modern Launch Club is obviously the main Instagram. We've also got the Solopreneur Awards Instagram as well. Most active over there. And then yeah, my performance stuff is kicking off again as well. So that's I am Nikki Pope with 2 Ks. So there's a few places.
Amazing. All of the links that she's just mentioned are in the show notes, along with a little beautiful intro to Nikki. And it's been a pleasure, like I said. Thank you so, so much for coming on to today's podcast episode.
For having me. It's been amazing.
And thanks to everyone that's tuned in to today. Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast, and I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast with me, your host, Kaylee Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow, and scale your dream 6-figure or multi-6-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.